Wow.
You just learned that.
They need to come up with an AI agent for that. Switching the audio
Yes.
setting.
Audio from your guitar to your yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God! Look,
That sounded familiar. It sounded kind of familiar.
War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Okay. Black Sabbath. There you go.
Remember that devil worshipping crazy guy? That was, off
Well,
bat.
a lot of people, that's how a lot of people I hear like to kick off their Fridays is with War Pigs by Black Sabbath, We get that a lot. Yeah.
I think they should rename it Kinetic Pigs.
Kinetic.
What do you think? Kinetic Pigs.
You're going to take kinetic action against your country. You don't get in line,
We'll start minting kinetic tokens against your country. I don't know. How that's all gonna.
They come flying at you. They hurt.
All kinetic tokens being shot out by GB 200, 300 MBL. I mean those really.
Hurt. When you were a kid, did you ever have some little gun? It was like a little disc gun that could shoot discs.
Yeah,
I remember having that.
Now they make them out of foam so that you don't hurt the kids anymore. But I remember having one with hard plastic discs.
Well,
I'm surprised we still have our vision.
Okay.
The odd thing is over the years, I think they discovered that if you just make them out of foam, you don't get that velocity and accuracy. So they started capping those little foam bullets with plastic. And so now they hurt when you get hit by them. I know because I've recently been hurt. They do. Especially when your kid comes up to you behind your head and
Man.
Like Al Capone.
Mr. Switzerland in the house. Wow.
What's up?
Hey, gang.
Good to see you, man.
Oh my God. Hey, do you know Devin?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. Everyone knows
Haven't
Devin.
had the pleasure.
If you knew me, there is no pleasure. But you're too kind. You're very kind.
That goes for all of us.
Well, he insulted by calling us gentlemen just a little while ago. So, David, you missed out on that.
Yeah.
At least you missed out on that.
Yeah. It's like gentleman and David. Hello.
That's right. That's right. Oh
my AI agent wasn't working to kind of filter out how I address each and every one of you.
Yeah, you're still a newbie.
David is one of the OG people from this group, and he was Mr. Verizon forever.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, he was our original FDE,
engineer,
active FDE, forward deployed engineer. No, I mean seriously, right? I mean, I remember I went to what was it? You're like pinging me before MWC Americas. What was it in Los Angeles? Telling me, hey, I have like a really cool demo. Come by, show it to me, and then he would tell me all the stories about how they stuck the solutions together, or the demo.
Wow.
Yes.
Did that ever become a solution, David?
No, there's something to be. I know we like to talk about financial engineering nowadays, but I think. We did it. We did it at Telco. I mean, they've learned lessons that we laid out, I guess.
Wow. Whenever I hear MWC Los Angeles, it makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Those were pretty bad.
Yeah, it got funky before it went on like sort of this precipitous decline. But
that's a pretty awful convention center downtown LA they got there.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. LA, number one, it's hard to get to, right? It's hard to get to. Yeah. The hotels are butt ass expensive. Transportation is.
There is no transportation. There is none. It's downtown LA, man.
Right. Good luck.
I remember that I forget the year. Whatever the year for the first two MWC LA, we still had a lot of social issues down in downtown LA with what was the name? Something Row. Anyway, lots of
Skid Row?
Not Santana Row or
Skid Row.
Santana Row's in San Jose, bro.
Yes, Santana Row is really nice in San Jose.
Really nice.
There's no problems there, except
There's
for
no
price.
problem.
They'll still steal your computer out of the trunk of your car on Santana Row, but it's pretty nice. You're right. You're right.
What's really hard to do is to know which Tesla to break into a Santana Row because they're all Teslas.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I will say, if you look like MWC LA or CTIA 2.0.
Yeah.
We actually went to dinner and then we decided to walk back to the hotel. And as we were walking, it didn't seem like this was, really a place we should be walking. I went back on my Google timeline and found out we were walking through Skid Row, but we were all dressed in business clothing and just looked like we knew where we were going. And probably everybody just looked at us like, we're not going to mess with those guys. But having spent a lot of time in downtown LA, it's not as bad as it looks. I will say that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
West Coast vagrants or, the homeless people on the West Coast are not as aggressive as the ones on the East Coast. In fact, the only time I was ever scared in LA was actually in Westwood when I walked by a homeless person and they were spraying Axe body spray into their face and huffing or something into it. And I would just honestly I'm just going to pretend this is a normal thing. And I walked by him and I was fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have these discussions that have little to do with IoT, but we reveal a lot of the zeitgeist that we're going through. Because when I went through Skid Row, we didn't have the drug problems or the perception of it, but this is pre-meth Skid Row. We did not have the opioid issues. So, just so you know, Devin, so I lived for a long time through LA County and I was all over, up and down Ventura County and downtown LA, Sunset east to west. So I know the area.
You know it very well.
Yeah, but because, the folks that we had to worry about were random, folks with schizophrenia. Like those were the problems. And that has shifted now because our house population has a lot of these crazy issues because of methamphetamines and other crap, which now we can talk about IoT. All of those sensors that we drop for water quality, that's how we know who's doing the most drugs in which county in America.
That's right. Just like we know COVID. That's how you detect, COVID.
That's how they detected it through the pipes in Wuhan, and they could see it going through into the sewage system. But you're right. That's a good point.
And also with COVID.
I just loved hearing CTIA, man. That's a blast from the past. I love that.
They're still around. They're still around.
Still doing their thing.
But GSMA bought the show and rebranded MWC America or North America. But going back to going back to IoT.
What's that?
What's that?
Right, but I mean, aside from sensors in the water, your wearables can start predicting. And I know the World Economic Forum was working on this. As you can start predicting pockets of malaise and things because people start moving less and temperatures and things. So how do you predict pockets of these pandemics? And as we start thinking about IoT solutions and talking about the priorities of healthcare, I started talking to some, and they said, really we're focused on, aging in place as a population gets older. Mental health is a huge, huge issue in this country, and then prenatal health. So those are a lot of priorities, especially for the rural areas. But I think aging and health, and we have a mental health crisis, that we're dealing with. So how does technology with AI, IoT help address some of these things?
Well, that's where
That's not
supposedly
a priority. That's not a priority. Flock cameras. That's what we need.
I was just about to say.
That's what we need. We need them everywhere. I want to know where cars are and swimming pools surrounded by HOA rules. We need flock today, folks. That's our priority.
Yeah.
My biggest moment from CTIA, I'm going to say it was in I don't know, 2010 maybe, I got to launch Windows Phone,
Oh,
Windows Phone 7. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That was great. That was a great feeling. There I was with my little,
congrats.
with all,
I love that OS.
Wow.
yeah, with all the tiles. Yeah.
Right, and you could group things together. And now I think Android, you can put things together, but it's not as easy to see.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a great,
Were you at that
time,
last CTIA? One of the last CTIAs, can't remember where it was, and they had the hoverboards. For some reason, I don't know how it became a hoverboard show, and people were everyone's trying the hoverboard.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember that? I don't know what hoverboard had to do with connectivity. But it became a big area full of hoverboards.
That was the robotic dog of the time, I think.
You know, some of these shows,
They're cheap,
like,
right?
some
They're
of these
much cheaper.
shows
Yeah.
are about one thing, and then they realize they need to they're like kind of running out of gas, and so they bring in this other sexy stuff to make people kind of like I notice every time there's two different stores. I'm going to comment here, nothing negative. Barnes and Noble is a bookstore, and Best Buy. I notice that every time I go into any of those places, they've been rearranged, and they have more different stuff. Like Barnes and Noble is really noticeable. All of a sudden, all the bookstores were going out of business, and Barnes and Noble was barely hanging on. And then they started selling records, and they started doing all this. And so I think it's just rapid pivoting. And I think Best Buy is staying alive. I got to believe they must be doing like a weekly or monthly pivot at every single store. They're like, what's hot? What do we got to change? Stop selling this stuff. Start stuff. It's crazy. But I think it's almost how we joke about, AI, how it's like every week there's something new. I think some of these brick and mortar retailers that used to be, we're all about this. And now it's like, and I don't know. I observe it when I walk in there.
They moved to cheese.
Yeah.
But Rob, you are the business. I think the business model. I'll stick to Best Buy. Also changing the way that, and I know we have young listeners starting at 2 years old and higher because of the algorithm on your parents' phone. So this is for you kids. We lived at a time that you can go to a place like Best Buy, and they had electronics, it was TVs, bunch of stuff. But something really, really important to the experience is that the people that worked there knew the stuff that was in there.
Oh,
if you go to the to 900 years before our Lord Jesus Christ, we had TVs that were gigantic. I mean, you want to talk about your Apple TV on 4K? Let me talk to you about 720p. And Best Buy was such a place that whatever product category, you have experts there. Home Depot, Lowe's, and that is gone because these businesses are still alive, but they are being managed with an eye to optimize a spreadsheet, and they have to because it's a business. But expertise in store, staff in store, it stopped being a priority years ago. And sometimes here's my point to give it back to you is, what if you were not in these stores 15 years ago? What if that's not your experience? I think it's a problem because I think I had a better experience. But if you go in now and your expectation is, I did my research online, I know what I want, I just want to touch the thing, and I know that no one is going to help me, and if they do, they don't know what I'm talking about, and you have a great experience,
man.
That's my rant. We had back then.
Have you not watched Idiocracy?
All the time.
Blows up, man. What are you talking about?
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Oh my God.
But I think the issue
at Costco.
Right. No, I totally agree. But I think the issue, we took the complexity out of the role and put it in the process of where now I can slot anyone there because the turnover is so high. But not to but really, can you make a living wage doing that? If you have technical skills and you really understand interlacing and 720p versus 4K and whatever, you're going to take those skills and market yourself for something that probably gives you more money. So again, this is a great segue because this whole week I've been focused a lot on what are the skills for the future and what is that future of work. We had a hackathon, with NVIDIA and Dell this week, and lots of great ideas, and it was very apparent of where the skill sets are going. Mechatronics is a skill I'm having a hard time finding. I have a 17-year-old that's now a senior in high school that's applying to college. And what do I guide him on? What do you focus on? What skills are going to be there 5 years from now? I sat down with Dr. Stephen Rick at NVIDIA for dinner, and we talked about, well, you still need, comp sci engineering, amazing skill because it structures problem solving.
Yeah.
Whether AI takes that away, what are the skills that our listeners, our kids, our friends, how do we reskill ourselves or guide people on what are the skills of tomorrow with IoT AI, the physical AI, the mechanical world, the electronic world, etc., that will not make you irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think if you assume that AI is going to take away all the jobs, which I think is becoming the talk track these days, and you're an organization that subscribes to that and then starts you're shaping your future business strategy on that, I think you're going to be in trouble. And, case in point, like you go to a Home Depot, man, back in the day, right? Talking about back in the day, you had people who knew their stuff. They knew they didn't have to, bring up their smartphone or their little Homer app to figure out which aisle a product was in. And if you had any question about how do I do this? Or, hey, look, I have this thing happening in the wall of my house, one of the walls of my house. What do you think it is? What do I do? These people actually knew what you should do, what you should buy, and then point you to the solution based on their own experience, right? And many of them had experience. They're like a forward deployed engineer.
And because everything hindsight is 2020, but what a great opportunity if 10, 15 years ago, Home Depot had created a YouTube channel where the drywall guy, the drill comparison, the waterproofing, the DIY stuff, and they would just had a library.
People don't. So here's the thing. What ends up happening is you go there, you're looking for a solution, you're wondering what you need to buy, and there's no one there to help you. And you loiter for a long time searching for the solution, and then they don't have people to help you. Because you have to hunt those people down in there. Yeah. So the whole experience is turned terrible. And
but again, terrible because we think we had it better.
We knew we had it better.
I know. I'm just playing both sides of the coin. That if you don't know that's how it was, you just kind of know like, okay, it is what it is. But here's sorry, Devin. Before this,
my point is this: Costco will still survive according to Idiocracy. So you're wrong. There,
100%. But here's another thing, Leonard. Back to your example, I can go to Home Depot, ask someone, "Hey, how do I do this?" and they would help me and send me on my way with everything I needed. Now, there's so much text on the internet that has been created by a bot, an agent, whatever, and then it's getting scrapped by another bot, agent, whatever. That the first 150,000 hits were not from an experienced person that has done drywall before.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, take a 2x4 with wood screws for an indoor application on concrete, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So this is Anyway, I just came really negative today. I apologize, people.
No, it's
The past is better.
But this gets us to the point: are those skills relevant anymore? Because I have all the answers here. If I have a project, I can get the recipe book of all the things I need. The only thing I go to Home Depot is, where do I find this particular thing? And you go into a Best Buy, and I already have all the pricing of all the products. I have all the reviews of, is it a OLED versus, whatever the newest technology is for my environment. And then I can do a virtual, view of what that TV would look like in my room. These are things that, has technology advanced to where we don't need that expertise in the skills, because we have expertise of almost everything in the palm of our hand.
Here's the issue. You are decoupling the necessity of information. Again, I want to buy a product, all these things that I used to ask someone, now it's just, on a smartphone, from the very factual issue that a lot of the information that we get automatically, we used to go ask a person in a store. And what we're saying is, we're going to get rid of all these jobs, and we don't need any of these skills because we have this, but we're not doing anything to replace all the people that we're displacing. So, and that's the thing. And I think that's the issue, that we cannot have just one side of the conversation. I think AI is it's a great tool, and I think we should continue to invest in it, but not enough plenty is discussed about what will happen if the jobs disappear on Monday morning. That's always top of mind. But when it comes to regulation and laws and implementing, processes so that if that happens, things don't fall wayside, very little is being done there. And I think I think that's the issue. We, not us, but we are afraid. Now that I'm not going to know the difference between 720p and 4K and LEDs and Samsung, and not that, is what happens to local Costco if it's all automated. If I go tomorrow to Costco and it's all self-checkout and they don't have the lady that checks my receipt and I think she got it, but I never steal anything. Okay.
Yeah, and
it's the evolution of work, and it's a shift to a different skill set, and I think that's a foundational thing of what do we replace it with? What are the new skill set areas that we focus on? So let's give an example. Robot dogs. Let's bring it back to IoT. So if so going back and replacing, let's just say, you're replacing security guards with a robot dog, and we had this discussion with our data centers. And so they said, well, if we do use drones and robots, and let's say, what does a security guard make? 60 to 80 bucks an hour, let's say. I may reduce that workforce, but then now I have to hire a whole bunch of different, mechatronic engineers to go maintain, to program them. Those skills are hard to find right now. They cost more. Am I going to find an ROI for bringing in physical AI when, Bob, who's been loyal to me for all these years, does a good enough job? And so it's a shift in the skills. Are we going to get there to where we're going to need these people that, drone pilots and people that can analyze vision systems and create and integrate the process with mechanics? Or are we just going to continue to do it the old-fashioned way with, flesh and blood?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good point. The cost. You're right. The dog and the maintenance and everything probably costs more than Bob. Right. Yeah. Who was loyal. Not that loyalty seems to mean anything anymore.
Right.
Except in Jerry Maguire. She was loyal. You got to go to disc on that one, guys. All right.
By the time
to go to Blu-ray.
But does she have the Quan?
By the time we get rid of all the jobs, and the data center guys, they're going to need lots of dogs to keep regular people from going into there and just setting the whole place on fire.
But one thing I just want to add here. I mean, so Devin, I don't think it's necessarily expertise that you have on your phone or in these LLMs because they don't have experience. And to your point, David, how I mean, these things drift, and the consensus can become wrong. There are certain common facts or information or knowledge that will persist. But the thing about that I think practitioners out there need to be cautious about is assuming that they do have human expertise and experience, and they don't. That's completely different. And I recently had a conversation with a forward deployed engineering company that does all this AI stuff.
With a
Conversation. Right. One of the difficulties that actually a lot of practitioners have is helping their clients understand that these things can't do magical stuff that you're expecting, because they'll get this RFP with all this ridiculous shit in it. And they have to try to convince them, hey, look, these are not reasonable things, and maybe you need to adjust some of your requirements here, because no one should be able to deliver on any of this, right? And so it puts people that are in an open bid situation in a difficult bind, because they have to somehow up the next guy in order to win the business, and there's this incentive to exaggerate and overpromise, and that's when you get into problems. But then the downside of it is, if you don't exaggerate, you could lose the business. And we see this happen time and time again. It's just now it's very, very exaggerated. So this is another reason why hype is so bad. It sets these ridiculous expectations in the buyer's mind about what can be done, possible, when most of it is impossible. And then it puts the practitioner who actually knows what they're doing at a disadvantage. So that's the difference between knowledge and expertise.
I will take your example and bring back Devin's point of transferable skills and what are the skills that matter. If for practitioners, for people with expertise in pick your category of RFIs and RFPs, one of the things that we would always look for is, what's the language that reads like the other person's product, right? And if you've done enough of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where all of a sudden, out of 33 pages, there's like 4 things that this does that I'm like, wait a minute, I know who wrote this, right?
Do you support PLSQL?
So,
oh shit!
If you're a practitioner, I think if you are an expert at something, maybe it's just that. Maybe I'm an expert at RFIs and RFPs and proposals for the federal government in the category of defense. Like, that's your thing. That's what you need to be shouting from the rooftops, because you have the expertise to be able to catch something like that and then act accordingly. What do I want to do? Do I want to win this bid? How do I do it? Do I have a human conversation and tell Devin, hey man, here's the thing. I want to bid on this, but these 4 things, they don't exist. So here's here's my counter offer. Do you really? So it's really, really true, demonstrable human expertise is what's going to save us. The problem is, it's not going to save all of us. If I'm an expert at sweeping floors, which I am, by the way, that's not going to get
pretty good at it too.
But you're AI proofed.
There you go.
Yes, I am AI proof.
Yeah,
I'll take it back.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to stir the pot and go back a few segments here. Home Depot. I go to Home Depot all the time, and there's a lot of people there, and they're brilliant, and they actually do answer the questions that you guys said they don't do anymore. So that's my experience. It's probably not universal, but the one by us, like, yep, it's on aisle 26, section A, and there's where the 1/4-inch screw is. There's people that are studs, which is great.
Yeah.
I
Pun
also remember the
intended.
first thing that started hurting, let's just say Home Depot kind of people or auto repair people. Before AI came along to replace them, YouTube came along to replace them. And I can't tell you how many people have learned how to do all kinds of crazy shit because of YouTube. There are people who open their own car repair stores, body, and 100% based on YouTube. I remember one time going to an oil change place and they say they do some other stuff. And the woman like pulled out her smartphone and found the YouTube video that showed how to fix this for that particular model car. That is a huge, real thing. And it's actually been going on for a long time. YouTube is because it's because of humans. Obviously, there's some good in the world. A lot of people with a lot of skills, for whatever reason, make videos to tell you how to fix this certain thing. I need to change the fan above my shower. Somebody made a video. And then to your point earlier, then AI has scraped it off and done it 300 more times. And it's like, I'm the expert now. Back to the Best Buy having to change around and all that kind of stuff. Remember the first threat, the internet was the threat. If you remember, did you remember, obviously we used to have this wonderful place called Fry's Electronics all over the place.
Yes.
And of course I'm going there.
Yeah. No, I know.
What did you start seeing after a while? A big banner on the front of all the Fry's Electronics that says, we'll beat internet prices, we'll beat Amazon. And that was the stress. And then in the end, they went out of business because they couldn't compete on price. And the only place I know that's still a computer store that I think it's kind of a chain that they have super experts. Have you ever heard of Micro Center?
Yeah.
All right. It's not as big as a Fry's, but it's hardcore computer, and those guys are on it. They know their stuff. I love Micro Center. Thank God there's a few of those left. There you go. That's all I got.
But Rob,
see, there's still a Micro Center near me.
One of the reasons that Fry's went under, there was some financial engineering.
The return policy. It was too liberal.
Well, I'll let you look it up, but it involves. I'll leave you the cookies. There was financial engineering by an executive who loved Vegas. I'm going to let you guys do your own research there. But I have fond memories of Fry's Electronics, Burbank, California. We had an UFO that had crashed through the ceiling right above and you can get motherboard and up and put together your own thing. Then have the friend that had copied that Microsoft OS like 900,000 times with the code that still worked. And that's how I put together my first rig.
You missed that? So you missed that play. And there used to be, in the 90s for sure, there used to be tons of, like, I would call them mom and pop computer stores everywhere where you build your own computer, or they're building it. And because building a PC became something that was approachable, like you could do it. It's like, oh, this motherboard, we're going to pop in this RAM. I've got this new VESA local bus video card with 2 meg of VRAM. And I'm going to whatever. And I've got the ultimate 486, 66, Gosh, those were the days.
I had 2 CD-ROM slots.
Hey, so remember,
my beating heart.
We will beat internet prices is because internet companies for the longest time had an exemption on sales tax.
On sales tax, right?
So remember that. The technology didn't win out. Policy killed retail. And that's why, these I'm going to call them dumb shits because they really are dumb shits. On CNBC, one particular person who was like touting Amazon Death Star, retail Death Star. Guess what? E-commerce is still only like 14% of all retail. So brick and mortar is still important. And what is ironic is all the efforts that Amazon and others, including their Chinese counterparts, have tried to figure out the physical part of their business. Remember? Because back then they were saying, well, there's going to be asset light. There's going to be no assets in these businesses. And then, these analysts discover, oh, shit, you guys have a lot of warehouses and, oh, shit, They're investing in a lot in logistics and, oh shit, they're buying planes and, delivery trucks and, hey, wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be some magical, software based company with 90% gross margins. It's not. And if you look at the cost structure and the financial structure of Amazon, it's really not that much better than Walmart. And so and we need to remember this because people forget. They forget where their heads were at with e-commerce. And there's a lot of people out there who don't understand business models and industry structures. And I encounter this all the time in my own consulting, is helping people think through what the industry is in terms of its current structure and where it's going, right? And this is where one of the fundamental issues, because your market definition is based on your understanding of industry structures and the players, the business models of the players that are in that industry. And once you get that disconnected, everything else is wrong, right? And then it becomes exponential.
This conveniently
see it all the time, huh?
With something. No, your comment conveniently aligns with something I was reading regarding a lot of startups that are failing. This is a cross category, but a lot of startups that are failing because the founder had no expertise into the market that they were trying to solve a problem that they thought was valuable. Yeah. But that it's a lot of that. And I think, that's another pendulum shift, because I think we can come up with examples with a company whose founding team was not the expert in that category, but solved the problem in an elegant way and it worked. But I think now, because it's easier to, there's not as much startup cash as there was 5-6 years ago, but remember, it was some crazy days. Like, I have a napkin connected to satellites, boom, 10 million. You're like, God damn.
Oh, okay, shit, that was easy.
Yeah.
Let me go out with another dumb idea. Hey, here's a rock. I think that on it.
So I think that also the promise of easy money, back to the comment that you triggered from my headline, is just that a lot of the failures that I'm following is just folks that had, no offense, but they had no business trying to create a business to solve something in a market or a sector that they just do nothing about. If Rob and I tomorrow, we start the latest and greatest pacemaker technology, folks, don't do it. Don't do it. It will look great. It will work. It will turn on battery life for a long time. It's just not going to help your heartbeat.
I got this hypothetical I want to throw out there because, Leonard bringing up business models of people not knowing how to run their business or a P&L or things like that, right? Let's hypothetically say you have this company and it was $40 trillion in debt. Would you say that it doesn't have a good business model or doesn't know how to run a P&L or maybe didn't have the expertise to run a P&L for a large company? I would say
that the executive team, they've been kicking the can down the road and they're going to sell more bonds next week. It'll be fine. It'll get to 80 trillion.
It's the free cash flow. What does that company's free cash flow look like? Is it positive or negative?
Yeah. It sounds like it's been run by a bunch of government people.
Yeah. Does sound like they've been somehow. How did those government people get into a good, healthy company? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good hypothetical.
But don't end this thing on a super depressing note here.
No, just a big milestone that we just kind of saw in the news this week,
Well, that's the thing. The tricky thing is the business of government isn't a business at all, and the last thing you want is to have business people with business backgrounds running a government, because it's a public benefit organization. It's not a corporation in the sense of business.
It's a pretty definitive statement you just made there, Leonard.
No, that's why government accounting is so different, right?
I want people who know what the fuck they're doing and have run a P&L at giant corporations mixed in with Congress. I absolutely do that.
No, but this is what you get.
But we have a master businessman, billionaire running our country now. Are we better off? Well, that's maybe we don't go there.
Folks, be nice to each other.
To get to this amount of debt. And so a whole lot of people get their fingers pointed at them. So I'm not going to make...
Nobody, don't say fingers.
No,
but the whole, gosh, this weird zoom in and zoom out auto, man, that's weird.
Is that AI enabled?
Yes.
It's AI enabled, yeah.
Rob, if we bring it to first principles and we think of this...
Where's the break?
As an operating system, people that understand the system are operating within the bounds of that system to benefit a handful of folks while abandoning the majority of folks. We keep talking about the operators and we don't focus on the business rules that are enabling the operators to have us where they have us today. There, I just want to bring like peace because we're getting, the temperature was rising in my CPU here.
Yeah.
You need the new Ross Perot coprocessor.
Yeah, Ross.
I'm not going to run for re-election, and I'm going to show you how to fix this problem that we've found. Can you imagine? Remember how bad it seemed? Like, oh my God, we're early 90s and we've got the biggest debt we've ever seen. So thank God Ross Perot's going to come fix it and showing charts and graphs because he's a businessman. Yeah, I'm sure he had no idea where we would end up decades later.
But was he better than an actor? Was he better than a reality TV star? Now we can have the argument because it's years later.
No, you're right. You don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
No, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm just trying to talk about dollars and cents because while you can say government is a public benefit company or something like that, I can't tell you how many countries we've seen go down this path and they default and they have hyperinflation, 3,000% inflation, and it just destroys the whole country. And, and then they become a backwater on the planet.
Oh, there's people who don't understand that, corporate taxes are applied to income, not revenue. And they think that income, because they're only familiar with personal income, they think that for a corporation, it's the same thing, which is revenue. And that's not the case. So you have, it's also the quality of intellect of the general populace. How educated are they? And if they're given the power to vote and dictate the course of the government, the actions and the policy of the government and the course of the country, it's on them. It's like what they say, you get the government you deserve. I'm going to
disagree. I dissent here, Leonard. There's one premise that you're not covering. We, generally speaking, we as citizens cannot be experts at policy making. Not all the time, not about every topic. So we elect people who get to represent us, and they say, hey, I am an expert. And I am from your area, from your neighborhood, and I care about the issues in our area, in our neighborhood, and I'm an expert in policy, and I'm gonna help things between you people and the government. It's just that the majority of them have not kept their promises.
Oh, there's that too.
It's
accountability.
It's like
AI.
It's compounding. And then we get into, he's from this party and she's from this party. Well, I'm like, no, hold on. Did not deliver. If we were talking about an AE quota right now, it's like, Vasquez, you didn't hit quota in 3 months. You're in a PIP. Next month, you're out. Because that's what it is. I did not deliver what I told you I was going to deliver. Fire me.
Yeah.
Fire me. And then when I go to the next sales gig, they're going to go, hey, man, why are you changing companies? And I get to tell them, well, they put me in a pip and I couldn't deliver. Don't hire me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
That's the real world.
Yeah. That's true. But that's why accountability is so important. And anyway. So going back to like the retail stuff, it is interesting that, this whole idea of having autonomous AI, driven retail stuff, models like, what was it? Amazon Go. And I mean, have any of these succeeded? Have you seen?
No, most of the automated stores, as far as I know, only exist within, like a bigger shopping mall sort of thing. I don't know that there's any standalone Amazon Go. That got folded back into Whole Foods or something.
Yeah, because think about how much effort Amazon put into some of these physical stores. There was like, what was it? The Amazon.
Yeah, they put all the
store.
top rated products from Amazon website into a store.
Yeah,
like 5 stars or 5 whatever.
Yeah, those disappeared. They failed. And so going back, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm going back to that comment that you made, Rob, about the Best Buys and how they're cycling through all the inventory and trying to figure out, or like whatever they're offering, the whole experience, what's available, cycling through all that stuff. So, anyways, that's why I'm bringing it back up. But anyways,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we learned we have to pivot quickly these days and react more quickly and whatever. And Best Buy is, the reason they're not Circuit City or some of the other companies that were great retailers of electronics that went out of business is because they're like, this is the new world. This is the new model. We can't just say, well, we're going to operate this way for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I guess those days are gone.
Well, they still move a lot of product, and so a lot of these physical retail businesses still do pretty well. I think they've done a good job of blending like e-commerce approaches and channel strategies to continue to be competitive. So.
What's the experience that draws you in? Is it product expertise? Is it tactile that I want to hold the product? Is it I just want to browse? Because right now we live in an age of convenience, and drones and things will make it faster. Where if I just want something, I ordered, a drone will drop it within an hour. I mean, I get things within a day of what I want. So what draws me into a store, or what draws you into a store? And
Availability. Yeah. And so that's what makes this whole point that Rob brought up interesting. And it's the challenge for retail, retail businesses, physical retail businesses, to stock stuff based on preference and having a forecast on demand so that you don't have things sitting on the shelves, right? You have inventory turnover. You're turning over your inventory,
and it's gotten way better because of IoT. Not even being sarcastic about it. The mashup of inventory visibility of today is leaps and bounds from that of 10 years ago. The ability to have, the systems of record, the systems of records haven't really changed much. But the ability to gain real-time information from in-store inventory and what's moving, what's not, down to the nuances. Like, I have this inventory, but 3 of these items are an open box, so the price is different. And 5 of these items are in store, but they were ordered through e-commerce. So someone's going to come in and pick up in store, so they're not really available. That is incredibly, incredibly better than just a couple of years ago, thanks to the Internet of Things.
Right.
Yeah, chapter 10, people. Oh, there you go.
Well, I have a client, right? So for example, this is a solution we built, but it's for a manufacturer, but they had no visibility into how the inventory was moving at their customers. So they would get orders just out of the blue. And what happens? Then you have to buy the raw materials. You have to run extra shifts on your production line to meet the demand, to scramble, for this order. Now that you know your inventory, you could just spend millions of dollars on an ERP system. How do you do enterprise resource planning when most of the inventory that's being done is, some guy with a clipboard reporting every week or, just once a month? Oh, we're about this. I think we'll need this. So real-time visibility into everything, the condition of your inventory, what's outdated, what has been returned, that changes everything for us to be more efficient. You need to carry less inventory in your warehouse. You get more real time, you get more insights. You go in, buy something, it's not all triple XLs left, what the demand's going to be, but more or less on your back end, I can ramp up production for what's needed. Industry 4.0 was all about the lot size of one. I can go and custom make this lot size based off of what the demand is. So we're starting to get more into obviously now we're proactive versus reactive. And that's the beauty of our IoT. So how does that help us tying everything back together to the Home Depot, the Best Buy, to make them more competitive, for the needs of the future?
Yeah.
Because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
Well said, wise man.
Buddha.
Yeah, it's funny that it always boils down to, inventory management and the inbound, outbound, logistics and, planning. I don't know, but these are pretty mature areas. People have been working on this stuff for a long time. It's not like, you guys have been working on it for a long time. I think the question is how much more is there to improve beyond the physical structural changes you might have to make, like what e-commerce did. I think we mentioned it. We mentioned this before. It's drop ship. They used to call it drop ship, and
Still do.
Yeah, it's still.
Come check out my TikTok store where I'm going to drop ship stuff to you that I just told you about.
Yeah.
It's all about it. We go back, as I guide my son into, okay, you want to be an engineer, take finance courses. It all comes circle. We kind of talk about understanding how money flows. It's all about ROI. What makes ROI sense? How do you create trust? So we can, all of it, we can build anything that's possible for, but are people willing to pay for it? Given unlimited budget, unlimited time, I could probably solve almost any, take your recipe book, Rob, of your book. We can solve anything. The key question is, does it make ROI sense? Does it make sense? You hear about the stories of the IoT-enabled flip-flops with, location. Who is going to buy that? There's IoT hairbrushes that measure. There you go. So there's great ideas, but if you're a technology person, this is cool. But then you start thinking about, okay, in real life application, and it's just not the cost of the purchase, it's that total operating cost. What's the total cost of ownership? I'm going to have to change the batteries in 5 years of 1,000 devices, or am I changing them every few minutes? I have clients, okay, we're going to do real-time asset tracking. Oh, who's going to sit in my warehouse and assign, each product to the tracker? I don't have the manpower to do that. So again, you look at the total cost and does it make sense? And then second is, do I trust the data coming off of, this technology?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's why all the stuff that's in my book hasn't been done, is because there's no business ROI to any of it.
Well,
Actually, you're right.
It sounds dated as hell, but that's just reality. People are like, yeah, people aren't worth enough, or trees or animal, wildlife, or the oceans. It's not going to help me meet my numbers for this quarter.
You know what it is? The sad thing is, it's like what what you and I were talking about like 8 years ago, Rob. There literally has to be an insurance layer Remember? A relayer.
Like a relayer. Yeah, right. Yeah.
An insurance layer, and it's all catastrophe, whether it's personal or societal or economic, catastrophe driven demand. And then it surfaces its way, that demand is then translated through an insurance layer. And maybe, actually that the name of that company was pretty cool if you think about it. Relayer. We are relaying catastrophic shit that can happen in your home, like a water leak that can cost tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going to make you give a shit and pay us money so, we can mitigate the damage.
My favorite, my favorite use case that they had was they had an auditory sensor on a bottling plant making beer, and they could tell, the plant would jam up, and it was because a knife on the label cutting would go dull, and they tuned it to where they could understand the sound that a knife made when it started going dull, so they could replace the blade before it jammed the production line. But using video and auditory sensors, is where we're going.
And that's really cool. And that's where AI is cool, right? ML AI is really cool. But it's not the process. And I think the problem is people keep trying to drum up and imagine these deterministic applications for AI and deterministic roles for AI, where it just simply doesn't do that stuff. But you're highlighting a really great benefit case for AI is, it can help you determine or at least detect some kind of anomaly that's about to occur, or
that's good stuff.
Before it happens.
Yeah. I tried to keep. I purposely tried to keep machine learning out of the book, but there were two use cases where I had to have it. And it was for, and these use cases.
Gunshots.
Deforestation, sound of a chainsaw in the Amazon. You had to have an ML model to understand what that sounds like. And then the other one was gunshots. And it wasn't the typical gunshot detection for crime. It had to do with poaching and biodiversity and stuff like that. But some of it you really need it, and computer vision is amazing.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
As long as it doesn't mistake a 60-year-old bald guy for a 2-year-old baby or a
There's that. There's that. I gotta bring up before we leave sports. You got your Raiders hat on there, dude. I went to the game last night. I saw the Raiders play the Texans, and I guess the most notable thing, Kathy and I were excited just to see Mendoza, the new quarterback for the Raiders. And I got to see and capture him throwing his first pick 6 interception. And so it's like, congratulations, bro.
Oh my goodness.
Rip the Band-Aid right off there. Welcome to the NFL. Yeah, I saw some guys, after he's probably wondering, why are people just beating the hell out of me after I've already thrown the ball? And it's like, welcome to the NFL, kid. Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. All right. Hey, that's an episode. So you want to take us out, or you want me to do it, or should Devin do it?
I think Devin should do it.
You should do it.
I got, you guys got to help me with the script.
Part of it's goodbye.
Right, but we got to do our plugs, right? We got to do our plugs.
Yeah. Do our plugs.
Yeah, Rob, who wants to do the plugs, and then I'll take us out.
Okay.
All right. Well, just remember the reason we're here. It may not seem that way. This whole thing is actually a charity. I know it seems like some crazy guys talking about tech or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's Elevate Communities, and we're going to use a lot of tech, a lot of IoT, and some devices and analytics and things, and we're going to apply that to some. It seems like it's just a book, but actually we're making sure we're bringing it in, all that stuff into action. Not all of them. But we're going to be the ones, when you see natural disasters, when you're going to see all kinds of problems happening in different communities of different types, from all the weird things that can happen in this world, we're going to use some tech to help folks with that. We're going to help them with preparedness, knowing in advance. We're going to help them with recovery. Are there Red Cross and first responders that are going to do their thing? Absolutely. We're not that, but we're going to be bringing the tech to a lot of that stuff. And so a lot of these use cases in there, we're going to bring it to life. And I know part of that, was really inspired by the floods last summer in the Texas Hill Country, right by where Stephanie Atkinson lives. So she's the one who put that together, and she's one of our co-founders from the get-go for Coffee Talk. And so, yeah, all those use cases, we're going to be making them real for sure. And hopefully we'll lead by example, and other people will hopefully jump in and do some stuff like that. So that's what this is about. So please give. Go to elevatecommunities.org, give, or buy some merch,
Yeah, we have.
And now, Devin.
It's all about using technology for good. So I hope everyone had as much fun as we did, and have a great weekend and have a great week ahead.
Sounds great. Adios.
Thanks,
rocker. See y'all later.
Take care.